Hello, beloved consumers. Thank you for joining us for Uniconfessions. I'm Unical Unicron.
I'm Jeremy Gunner.
And today we're talking about magic rituals. How to
Perform magic rituals.
How to perform magic rituals. You, the viewer, might be surprised that you're performing magic rituals
All the time.
all the time.
Yeah.
100 times a day you're making magic rituals. And
Even in conversation, you might be talking to someone and then you're like, oh, I want to steer the conversation in this direction. I want to talk about something that's got nothing at all to do with this conversation at all. And you have to think of some way of like steering the conversation into the topic that you're wanting to talk about, even though they're not talking about that at all. And you like just having that intention in your mind. You're like, oh well, I want to talk about cats, and they're talking about dogs.
planning it.
You start to like
integrate different parts of.
move the conversation.
Oh well,
in
dogs would do this, but cats.
That reminds me of these cats, you know.
Yeah.
And then that seems like that you wouldn't even look at that as a ritual, but that's like you have an intention. You're using your will. You're using all of your skills, and slowly.
Seeing someone on the street saying hi,
Yeah.
hi, hi. That's a ritual.
Yeah.
You know, like every action, especially if it's repetitive, especially if it's like a repetitive thing that you would normally do,
Mhm.
that's a ritualistic action. Is it magic? Well, what makes something magic?
I've often thought, even with obsessive compulsive tendencies, it's like a lot of them probably are rooted in magic rituals as well.
That's
I wouldn't say
awesome.
all of them, because some people are like stuck washing their hands an hour a day or whatever, but
Yeah.
I mean, like, there are definitely ways that I've found where I've unlocked portals and secrets in nature and stuff just by doing things in a certain order or a certain way, and I think that those things are rooted in all of that.
That's a beautiful thought.
Yeah.
Because you think of someone who's like, okay, no, this has to be lined up like this, and then I put this here. It's like,
But it's
oh,
like
you're
that's
crazy.
like unlocking a safe.
Yeah.
You just get the right combination and you know, that's exactly the same with any kind of ritual. So I would say the first thing with any kind of ritual is actually understanding the intention, like knowing what it is that you actually want to achieve
Mhm.
or what you're trying to do. And
Well, you can do it one of two ways. You can either approach it from, okay, I want to have a specific result,
mhm.
or you can look at your life and say, here's where I do repetitive actions where I can integrate
Mhm.
the
I do that
highest-
as well.
the
Yeah.
highest reality where I could benefit me. It's like we were in the mirror today. If you're putting on your makeup or you're brushing your teeth, if you incorporate positivity into that ritual with positive affirmations, that becomes a magic ritual
Mhm.
that you can then integrate into your daily life. Or if you have a specific goal in mind, like we did a
Well, like
ritual.
Yeah, the one we just did recently with money rituals. With this, we have this spell book here, which is like an encyclopedia. It's not like there is no knowledge as to which ones that work and which ones don't. It's really just this huge encyclopedia of like all spells throughout history, like a lot of different spells. And so what we did is we took all of the spells about money and we just found the ones that resonated with us the most.
The ones that we had tools for,
The
the
ones
ones
we
that
had
we
tools for.
liked.
And then you can change the ones if you don't quite have the right tools for them. You can, replace them with something else.
I always
Um,
hated like the magic spells being written out and you have to read them. Like
100%.
That's
Yeah.
you can probably do a lot that way,
Mhm.
but when it comes from your own heart and you
It's
have it
much
mapped
more
out
powerful.
in
Yeah.
your own sense. So what's the difference between a spell and a ritual?
A spell and a ritual, I guess they're kind of similar, right?
Pretty much
I mean,
the same, I
yeah.
think. I think there's just connotation. It's just the word choice. But if you want to make more magic rituals in your life and you don't think of yourself as a wizard or a witch, you might open your mind up to exploring that knowledge and then bringing that back into words you are more comfortable with. If you are, a wizard or a witch and you just want to explore integrating magic into your life on a more regular basis rather than this, okay, on the full moon, I do this
Yeah.
and that and this and that. It's like you can do magic 100% of the
Yeah.
time.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be...
It can be like almost like a lifestyle.
Yeah, magic is a
Yeah.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
So it's good to know where the moon is at and how that relates to your magic. And all of this information just comes with studying, reading, practicing, exploring. There's a few books I can recommend. I can link below. This spell book is amazing.
Mhm. Well, they can be more powerful, like you were saying, on certain full moons or on certain times.
Yeah.
But because there is always going to be a certain spell that's fitting on whatever day it might be or whatever phase of the moon, there'll be some kind of spell that'll be the perfect time for that. So if you're just using whichever ones are like at the right.
A quick introduction to moon energy. When it's in the new moon, when it's hit the new moon, that's a great time to do things. You recognize the shadow, you plant seeds, to grow. That's not actual seeds, it's more mental, physical, emotional seeds that as the moon grows, so do you. And then the moon is full, and that's when magic is most potent and most powerful, and it's like, how do you explain that? It's like kind of crazy energy. They call it lunacy, like
which is where you
the
get all
full
the
moon.
lunatics and
The full moon can just fill us with this really awesome energy. And then as the moon's going down again, then it's going to be more of like a resting kind of magic. So if you're doing a prosperity spell as the moon is shrinking, you might take that into account and just be like, even though I feel like my wealth is shrinking now, I know it will grow eventually. It's probably better to do it either on the new or the full moon, or somewhere in between the growth.
Unless you find some kind of way of justifying it or whatever. Like, it's all about your intention.
It's all about your own heart.
Yeah.
And your own understanding.
And that's why kids are like some of the best spellcasters ever, because they just have it in their mind that this is what they're trying to achieve. I used to crush up rocks, mix certain coloured rocks together as a child, and that would all be to do with intention. It's like, I would just be like, oh, I want to win this race at school or something when I was a child, so I just have to mix this one with this one. And it could have been any that I was mixing, really, I assume, but it's just that
but you felt
I knew which ones meant what, and I think it was the fact that I knew that and the intention that I had which made it successful.
I'm sure they worked, yeah. So the spell we did that we made up from other spells that we found in this awesome book, the Elemental Encyclopedia of 5,000 Spells, was a mixture of different things. We lit a green candle. First we carved identifying signifiers for both of us and then also the Unicult. And then we lit the candle in a pile of currency from different parts of the world. We had like currency from New Zealand and currency from America, as well as we had 9 strands of hair that we read about. We tied them in 9 knots. That's here. That's in there still. We're gonna plant it. We're supposed to bury it in the dirt now that the spell is over. And then we did like magical energy work between us, and we also drew our own money. So one of the spells in here was to draw your own currency. If you had money, how would it look? So this one's mine. It's like a dragon, and it says eternal wealth, and it says infinite resources, and there's spiders. We saw a few spells with spiders as well, and we were talking about how spiders are connected to wealth, yeah, and just their infinite ability, like to create and structure. Yeah. And then this one's Jeremy's beautiful banknote. And it's more than just a banknote to me. It's more like an energy portal. It's like something that's actually spreading energy out, and like when you look at it, it's actually, and a lot of it is similar to when a child draws, where you don't necessarily understand it when you're just like a stranger looking at it, but like the artist knows what each thing is. And we came up with these really interesting like dollar signs which are actually reflected into one another to make like an 8 and 88, because 8 being like the infinite symbol, so it's just kind of like eternal wealth. So rather than just an S with a line through it for like the usual dollar sign, it's like reflected into itself, creating this kind of infinite wealth. So that you're never in this place of lack. And just these four directions here, these fiery directions are just coming out from that, shooting out into all 4 corners. So you can also draw your own money like this. It could also just be a drawing of you feeling prosperous, feeling like you're at where you're supposed to be. Should we bury this here? Yeah, let's do that. On this. So this coin here, we put this here this morning after we met this fairy that was actually disguised as a moth. But it was not a moth. It wasn't a moth. Like, I don't usually notice these things. Unicole is incredible at picking up when sort of insects or whatever are actually like fairies, other beings in disguise. So they give the appearance just to the average eye, oh, it's just a moth. Like, you could write it off. Logical easily. Explanation. But then you pick it up and you look closer at it, and it's like it had this big long nose. It was like this really strange
glittery, strange being. It was
And the
just-
longer we looked at it, the more sparkly the wings got.
Yeah.
They turned into these like gold
it
and
was a
silver
magical
wings.
being in disguise as a monster.
And so we asked it what it wanted. He said he wanted a golden coin.
So this is what this coin is here, and this is where we're going to bury the hair,
From
which
our
actually,
ritual.
the first hair that we had for this ritual had 9 knots in it, and we had 9 strands of hair, half and half from each of us. But the first one just vanished. It's just disappeared.
Suddenly, we had it right before we started this video, and
It was there, and now it's gone. So this one here is the second one that we've come up with, and it has 2 knots. And again, same.
like 4 pieces, 2 from each.
Yeah. So we're gonna
Maybe use
bury
that
that.
stick, huh? You
Use the coin.
Good idea.
So we're just gonna bury this here.
And with our intention to be that it will
Infinite wealth.
infinite wealth, infinite prosperity. Do you want to bury it with the coin, or do you want to put the coin on top?
Yeah, I'll bury it with the coin. Actually, that's a good idea.
Your dad's gonna be like, "It's American dollar in there."
American dollar. In the...
How did we get there?
Okay, great.
So yeah, so magic rituals are pretty much whatever you make them, and just experiment with them. Be careful. Do them with the best of intent. Don't work in curses ever. Only work in blessings. Blessings for yourself. Blessings for the earth. Blessings for others, and you'll feel it.
Believe it.